again I will revise how to find out the transfer function from the Bode plot. So the first step is we need to identify the type of the system from the initial slope. Okay, so here you can say not only type we can identify, but we can also identify the number of zeros at origin. Similarly, number of poles at origin. So what is the type of system first? First consider about the poles. So what is the type of the system? Number of poles at the origin. Okay, open loop poles at the origin. And we draw the Bode plot for open loop transfer function only. So if the type of the system is P, the initial slope will be minus 20p dV per decade. Okay. And if there are two zeros at origin, what will be the initial slope? Plus 40 dB per decade. Okay. Similarly, that will be applied for zero. So after finding out the first step, we will move to the second step. What is the second step? We need to identify the corner frequencies. So frequencies at which slope of Bode plot changes. Okay, those are the corner frequencies. Okay, this is the second step. Now we need to find out the order of the pole and order of the zero. So third step is related to that. If change of slope is greater than zero, at that particular corner frequency, zero exists. Okay. And if the change of slope is less than zero, at that particular corner frequency, pole exists. So if you want to find out the order of the pole or order of the zero at that particular corner frequency, so you just need to check the change in slope divided by minus 20 dB per decade. As we know that if there is one finite pole, that particular finite pole results in a minus 20 dB per decade change in slope in the magnitude spectrum, right? The change in slope divided by minus 20 dB per decade. For example, change of slope is minus 40 dB per decade. And if you divide that by minus 20 dB per decade, so you will get a value 2. So at that particular corner frequency, there exists a order of the pole at that particular corner frequency is equal to 2. Similarly, for 0, we divide by plus 20 dB per decade to that change in slope. And the fourth thing is we need to find out the DC gain. Okay. The fourth thing is we need to find out the DC gain. So how to find out DC gain? We will see that in example. So let us consider this example number 1. So you will get a clear idea about how to find out a transfer function from Bode plot. So here you can see the initial slope is plus 40 dB per decade. Now at 0.5 corner frequency, the slope will get changed to plus 20 dB per decade. So this is in dB per decade. I have just mentioned plus 40, plus 20. Okay. So this is a plus 20 dB per decade, this slope between frequency 0.5 and 1. Okay. Now after that, the slope is 0 dB per decade. So between 1 and 5, these two corner frequencies. So at corner frequency 5, again slope will change. So minus 40 dB per decade. So as you can see, at each corner frequency, slope will get changed. That's why these are the corner frequencies. Okay. So the first step in finding out the transfer function is that we need to check the initial slope. Okay. So what is the initial slope? 40 dB per decade. So there exists a zero or there exists a pole at origin. What is exist at origin in transfer function? Slope is plus 40 dB per decade. Slope is plus 40 dB per decade. So what exists at origin? Zero or pole?
Zero.
Good. Zero. So and what will be the order of that zero?
2.
Yes, good. So this will be, so there are two zeros at origin, okay, and we also don't know the gain, so I will put that k. Now at corner frequency 0.5, what is the change in slope here? How to find out a change in slope? What is the change in slope at this particular corner frequency? This plus 20 dB per decade. minus this plus 40 dB per decade. So 20 minus 40 at this particular point, change in slope will be 20 minus 40. So that will be minus 20 dB per decade. Okay. So at this particular corner frequency, there exists a zero or there exists a pole. Slope is negative, so definitely there exists a pole, right? If change of slope is less than zero, there exists a pole. And what is the order of the pole? Minus 20 dB per decade divided by minus 20 dB per decade. So order of the pole will be that will be 1. And at which frequency it occurs? 0.5 frequency. So that will be 1 plus S by 0.5. At this particular frequency, one pole exists. So let us check the change in slope at corner frequency 1. So you tell me what is the change in slope here? What is the change in slope here? At this particular corner frequency, 0 minus 20. So that will be minus 20 dB per decade, right? Here also change in slope is minus 20 dB per decade. So if the change in slope is minus 20 dB per decade, so order of the pole will be 1 only, and that is occurring at a corner frequency 1. So I can put pole in the transfer function, which is at corner frequency 1. So 1 plus S by 1. Okay. Let us see the next corner frequency, the 5. Okay. At this particular frequency, what is the change in slope? Tell me what is the change in slope here? That will be minus 40. Okay, so minus 40 dB per decade. So how many poles are there at this particular corner frequency?
2 poles.
Yes, 2 poles are there. One plus S by 5 square. So there are 2 poles at this corner frequency, right? So we got the transfer function, but we haven't got the value of K. So that is a DC gain of the system. Okay, so we need to find out the value of DC gain. Okay, so how to find out the value of DC gain? Now here, first one thing you need to observe. If you know the magnitude at any corner frequency, and if you know the previous slopes of the line, you can find out the magnitude at omega is equal to 0.1. When we have finded out the Bode plot from the transfer function, how we find out the value of magnitude at omega is equal to 0.1, we will apply the same method here. Okay, so here you can see this is our transfer function, right? And we need to find out the value of K here. So to find out the value of K, as we know that between the corner frequency 1 and 5, the magnitude is 32 dB. Okay, we know this magnitude 32 dB. So what I will do, so I will just now here you can see. So I can say that at omega is equal to 1 also the magnitude is 32 dB. Okay, so what I will do, I will just first calculate a magnitude like this. That will be K omega square. Okay, so 1 plus omega y 0.5 square 1 plus omega square and 1 plus omega y 5 square, and it will be square. Okay, now so okay, just adjust this properly. Okay, so this is also 0.5. Okay, so now we got this magnitude formula. Now I want to, I know that at omega is equal to 1, I can say that at omega is equal to 1. Okay, so just a moment. Okay, so now I know that at omega is equal to 1, the magnitude is 32 dB. Okay, so if I have to find out the value of magnitude at omega is equal to 0.1, means at this point I need to find out the value of magnitude. So that is my DC gain, right? The gain. So at this point I need to find out the value of magnitude. So what I will do, so here you can see how many corner frequencies are there. 0.5 is there, okay, 1 is there, and 5 is there. Okay, out of these three, how many are greater than 1? How many are greater than 1? So greater than 1 is 5. Okay, 5 is only greater than 1. So from this term, what I will take? From this term I will take only 1. Okay, so from this term I will take only, because I will take 1. Okay, right. Now so this is the magnitude part of corner frequency 1. So from this I will take omega. Okay, and this is also less than 1, this particular corner frequency. So from this I will take omega by 0.5. So it is just like taking s by 1, right? So like that. This is the shortcut technique. Even if you put omega is equal to 0.1 in this magnitude formula, then also you will calculate, but I am telling you the shortcut technique here. So no need to calculate all the concepts, all the calculation. Okay, so from this term I have taken omega by 0.5. From this term I have taken omega, but this particular corner frequency is greater than 1. Okay, so that's why from this term I am only taking 1. Okay, and here the above terms will remain same, k into omega square, because those zeros are occurring at origin. Okay, so if we just put it here, so this will be k into omega square divided by omega by 0.5 into omega, and this one is there. Okay, so you can, this will be the magnitude of that particular transfer function. Okay, so if you just simplify it, okay, so if you just simplify it, you will get 0.5k, right? So we know that at omega is equal to at omega is equal to 1, the magnitude is 32 dB. Okay, so so we'll just consider this this magnitude part in dB. 20 log of 0.5k is equal to 32 dB. Okay, so we got a value of k is equal to 80. So like this way, you can find out the value of DC gain. So in the transfer function, you put the value of k 80, and the overall transfer function will be at into s square divided by 1 plus s by 0.5 into 1 plus s by 1 into 1 plus s by 5 square. Okay. So like this way, you can find out the DC gain. So what you need to consider, for example, if you want to find out a DC gain, so first thing is that you should know the corner frequency at which you know the magnitude of the system. Okay, so I know that at this particular corner frequency magnitude is 32 dB. So what I have done, I have identified which frequencies are greater than 1. Okay, so here the 5 is greater than 1. So magnitude part, I have from the magnitude part of that particular corner frequency, I have taken only term 1. Okay, and now this 1 and 0.5 are less, means 1 is equal to 1 and less than for a corner frequency equal to or less than particular corner frequency. So here 0.5 and 1 are equal to and less than particular corner frequency. From those magnitude part of those terms, I have taken omega by 0.5 and omega, because the square root of this we need to take, means this inside term only we need to take. So like that way we have taken k into omega square divided by omega by 0.5 into omega, and this is 1 only. So no need to write here. So we got a we got a magnitude 0.5k at which corner 0.5k. Okay. So after that, what we have done, we know that at omega is equal to 1, the magnitude is 32 dB. So we just converted this into dB and just calculated the value of k. So this is a simple method. If you haven't get clear idea about how to find out the transfer function from Bode plot, we will consider the second example. Okay. So let us consider the second example. Okay, so now the first step in finding out the transfer function from the Bode plot is, first we need to check the initial slope. What is the initial slope here? Minus 40 dB per decade. So this is the initial slope. So how many zeros at the origin or how many poles at the origin? Can you tell me? The slope is minus 40 dB per decade. So there are 2 poles at the origin, right? I don't know the value of gain k, so I will put that. So there are 2 poles at origin because the initial slope is minus 40 dB per decade. If the initial slope was, in the previous example, initial slope was plus 40 dB per decade. So there was multiple zeros at the origin. Okay, so the initial slope is minus 40 dB per decade. Now at corner frequency 2, you can see that change in slope is how much? What is the change in slope here at corner frequency 2? Can you tell me? What is the change in slope at this particular corner frequency? Minus 60 minus 40. So that would be plus 40. So this will be minus 20. Right? So minus 20 dB per decade. What is the order of the pole here at this particular corner frequency 2? This is the change in slope. So what is the order of the pole at this particular corner frequency? 1. Okay. So 1 plus s by 2. And let us see at the next corner frequency. So here you can see. So what is the change in slope at this particular corner frequency? Minus 40, minus 60. So that will be plus 60. So that will be 20 dB per decade. This will be change in slope at this particular corner frequency. So plus 20 dB per decade. So what exists at this particular corner frequency? 0 or pole? There exists a 0 because plus 20 dB per decade slope is there. Now let us find out the slope at this particular corner frequency. So what is a -60 minus 40? That will be plus 40. So this will be minus 20 dB per decade. Okay, so there exists a pole at corner frequency 25. Okay, what is the order of that pole? 1 only. Okay, so we got a transfer function. We need to find out the value of k now. How to find out the value of k? DC gain. Okay, so now as we know that we know the value of magnitude at 0.1. Okay, so what I will do, I will just check which are the frequencies which are greater than 0.1. So 2, 5, 25, all frequencies are greater than 0.1 only. Okay, so from these terms, if I want to calculate a magnitude from these terms, okay, I will take when I will calculate a magnitude, I will take only 1, right? Because these are greater than 0.1. Okay, so my magnitude will be transfer function magnitude k by omega square into 1 to 1 into 1. Okay, so if I do it in dB, 20 omega, because omega square is there, no? That's why 40 log of omega. So what is the magnitude at 0.1 frequency? That is 80 dB. 80, 20 log of k minus 40 log of 0.1. Okay, so what is the log of 0.1? That is a -1. So this will be plus 40, right? So this will be plus 40. Here it will go. Here it will go. So that will be, okay, I will write down. This will be 40. This will be 80. So 20 log of k will be 40. So k will be 100. Okay, then put it in transfer function. So you got a final transfer function, that is 100 into 1 plus s by 5 s square 1 plus s by 2 1 plus s by 25. Okay, so like this way you can find out the transfer function from the Bode plot. Any doubt here? Have you understood? Okay, any doubt here? Can we proceed? Okay. So at this point we can conclude this unit 4. So let us start with unit 5. I hope that you understood all things. Okay. So unit 5, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So unit 5, the state space analysis. So what is mean by the state space analysis? Okay. So let us consider one low pass filter. Okay, this is the input. Let me adjust this thing. I'm not able to write correctly. Okay, so this is the input. So RC, and this is the output. Okay. So what I will do, I will apply one pulse to this particular filter, which is having the magnitude 5 volt. This will be the VI. This pulse I will apply. So as you know that the output voltage is equal to the capacity. What is the voltage across the capacitor? Okay. So that is the same as voltage across the capacitor. When you apply a pulse, right, depending on the system time constant, that is the RC value, okay, I will get output like this. So it will, capacitor will start charging, okay. So at one particular point, it will reach to the maximum value, right? So if I say at this particular point, it will reach to the maximum value 5 volt. So this is the output. Okay. And after some time it will discharge because we have applied a short pulse. So after some time it will get discharged. Now, so here if you see in this particular scenario, okay, so VC, the capacitor voltage, is called as a state variable. Okay. Now here you can see the VC value will vary from 0. If I say here there is a 2.5, here there is a 5. So VC value will vary from 0, 2.5, 5, okay, or many intermediate levels, okay. So these values, when VC value is at 2.5, this is called as a state. Similarly, when VC value is 5, this is called as a state. This is also called as a state. And this is called as a state variable. And this overall space is called as a state space. Okay. So there are three important terms in a state space analysis. First one is a state, second one is a state variable, and third one is a state space. Okay. So in this particular scenario, you can say that VC is a state variable. This intermediate voltage levels of VC is states, and this overall space is a state space. Okay. So in terms of definition, if you see that, so that will be state. What is mean by state? It represents the present operating condition of the system in terms of store values in the system. Okay. So if we consider, if we just talk about RLC circuit or any electrical circuit or any sequential circuit, so what will be the states like this, like inductor, capacitor, those elements are responsible for these states, means energy storing elements are responsible for these states. Okay. So inductor, capacitor, if you consider a digital circuit, so in that case sequential circuits. Okay. So states, okay, those are responsible for the storing something or storing some value. So here when VC is 2.5, that is one state. When VC is 5 volt, that is one state, like that way. And next thing is state variable. So as we know that inductor current, capacitor voltage, okay, the variable used to define a state of the system is called as a state variable. Third thing, state space. So it is an n-dimensional space where coordinate axis represent this state variable. So here you can see, if you see this particular space, for example, there are three elements, right, in this particular space. So like this way, there is a state variable, and state space. So you maybe wonder that what is the use of state space analysis? Because if you want to analyze any system, we can use a Laplace transform to find out a transfer function. Then if you want to access the performance of the system, we can apply a time domain analysis technique. Or if you want to analyze the system's performance in the frequency domain, we can use a frequency domain analysis techniques like Bode plot, Nyquist plot. Okay. So what is the use of state space analysis? Okay. Now, as we know that if you want to calculate transfer function, because all this frequency response analysis or time response analysis, means what condition we have considered, we have applied all those techniques on the transfer function. Okay. So I just need to take this. So we have applied all these techniques on a transfer function. And when I have told you about the definition of transfer function, there we have considered two important conditions. System should be LTI, linear time invariant system, okay? And there should not be any initial conditions, okay? If there are initial condition, the system will become non-linear. So this particular LTI condition will not get followed. Okay, linear time invariant system. Initial conditions are 0. So we can apply this particular transfer function technique to analyze a circuit only when system is LTI and initial conditions are 0. So for other conditions where as we know that in practical condition there are non-linear systems, right? Okay, and similarly there are time variant systems. Okay, so for those systems we can use the state space analysis to analyze those systems. Okay, so that is the main importance of the state space analysis. So what is the first advantage of a state space analysis? It is applicable for a time variant and time invariant both. Okay, there is no condition that you can apply only for a time invariant systems. Okay, so this is the first advantage. What is the second? It takes initial condition into account. So what is mean by initial condition? That may be a capacitor voltage or that may be an inductor current. Okay, so all those initial conditions will be taken into the consideration to analyze our system. Third thing, all internal state of the system can be taken into account. So that is mean by that only. Initial condition is capacitor voltage, inductor current, or if you talk about a sequential circuit. So in that particular sequential circuit, whatever the flip-flops holding the present state, those are the states, right? Those are the main things here. Then the fourth one is it is applicable for multiple input and multiple output system. So as we have seen, whenever even in transfer function also we have considered single input single output system. If there are two inputs, what we have done, we have calculated the transfer function separately, right? Okay, so that thing is means if we consider we have only applied that particular analysis for single input single output system, but this particular state space analysis is applicable for multiple input and the multiple output system. Okay, so we have seen what is mean by state space analysis and what are the advantages of those. Okay, so let us see the representation. Okay, so now here you can see the representation of the system. So this is a multiple input multiple output system. U1 to UK are the inputs, so there are k inputs. Y1 to Yn are the outputs, so there are n outputs. And if you talk about the state variable, okay, those are inside the systems. Okay, so for the representation purpose, I have shown it here. Those are the internals. Only this signals U1 to UK and Y1 to Yn you can observe externally. Okay, if you want to observe this particular state variable, there are techniques like in IC design we use the built-in self-test and all those things, but that is not a point of discussion here. Okay, so these are the internal states. So if you want to represent that in input vector, so input will be from U1 to UK, state will be from X1 to XM, so there are M state. So I just need to make one correction here. So there are M state. Okay, so there are M state and output also there are N outputs. So multiple input, multiple output system. So now if you want to represent this particular system using a state space model or state space equations, so there are two important equations. The first one is the input equation. So now here X is what? Here X is a state vector. Okay, state vector. So that may be a vector which is holding the capacitor voltages. That may be a vector, it is holding the inductor currents. Okay, Now this x bar, all of you know what is this? X bar means derivative of x. Okay. Then u is the input. If you apply input to the system, so u is the input here. Now what is a and b? A is a system matrix. Okay. So here you can see. If you just see this in terms of block diagram, so A is a system matrix which represents this system. So here you can see x of t is what? X of t is a state vector. Okay, x of t is a state vector, and here you can see the integrator block is there. This is the integrator block, and the input to the integrator block is derivative of the state vector. So when you apply a derivative of state vector to the integrator, you will get a state vector. Okay, so A is a system matrix which represents this particular system. Okay, A is a system matrix. What is a B? B is the input matrix. Whatever the input you are applying to the system, so that is the input matrix. Now, if I want to represent output of this particular system in state space, how will I represent? That will be C into X. C is what? Output vector. Okay, C into X, output vector, plus D into U. So D is what? D is a direct transmission matrix. Okay, in most examples, D is 0 only, but we will see some examples where D is not 0. Okay, so this is a direct transmission matrix. It is not following our system. It is directly connecting input to the output. So D into U. So D is a direct transmission matrix and U is the input. So like this way, there are two equations which represent overall system. Okay. So as you know that, so depending on the value of, if we consider output equation, that is a y into cx plus du. So depending on the values of state vector, depending on the size of the state vector and size of the input, and similarly the size of the output, the size of the C and D matrix will be get decided. These are the matrices. Okay. So here you can see this is simple only. I will not explain this. Similarly, if you consider the input equation, the value of size of the matrix A and B will be decided by the states and the input vectors. Okay, similarly, the derivative of state vectors. Okay, so this is the basic state space model. Okay, input equation and output equation. Now, if you want to represent any system in a state space, there are different methods, like a physical variable form and the phase variable form. Okay, so physical variable form means in terms of, we will see when we consider the examples. Okay, and in phase variable form there are 4 types: the cascade realization, direct companion 1, direct companion 2 form, and parallel realization. So what is mean by direct companion first? That is a controllable canonical form. What is mean by that? We will see later. Time being, you just see this. Direct companion second form is observable canonical form, and parallel realization means diagonal canonical form. Okay, so let us see these methods one by one. So first we will start with the phase variable form. Here we will just see physical variable form is easy, that is in terms of capacitor voltage and inductor currents. So what is mean by phase variable form? Okay, so phase variable form is a form. We will use that form when the system model is in the form of differential equation or transfer function. Okay, so if you want to represent any system using a state space and you have only the differential equation of that particular system, or you have a transfer function of that particular system. Okay, and if you want to represent that particular system in a state space, you can use a phase variable form. Okay, and where you can use a physical variable form when you have a circuit with you. For example, if you talk about RLC circuit, when you have a circuit with you, you can use a physical variable form, and when you have a differential equation or the transfer function of the system, you can use a phase variable form. Okay, to represent system in a state space. So let us see the physical variable form first. Okay, so that is the electrical network to the state model thing. So let us see this example of RLC circuit and how to represent this using a state space. So here you can see RLC elements are there. So what are the energy storing element here? This inductor and this capacitor, right? So inductor current and the capacitor voltage are the state variables, IL and VC. Now, what is the main task here? We need to just apply KVL in such a way that we can represent this system using the input equation and output equation. What is the input equation? X bar into AX plus B into U. Sorry, just a minute. Okay, X bar is equal to AX plus BU. Okay, and what is the output equation? Y is equal to CX plus DU. So we need to find out this A, and similarly, if there is a B, means we need to find out these parameters. Similarly, X. Okay. So what will be the variables in X vector? In X vector there will be IL, there will be VC. Okay. And what will be in the X bar? Derivative of IL and derivative of VC. So X bar will be DIL by dt dVC by dt. Okay. So our main aim here is we need to represent the system, means whatever the KVL we will apply systems equation in the form of this particular representation. So this is the input equation and this is the output equation. Okay. So here you can see we have applied the KVL here. So what will be the KVL? Vn is equal to IL into R plus L into di by dt plus Vc. So here you can see IL into R plus L into dIL by dt plus Vc. So this will be the input voltage, right? So if you just modify it, you will, because we need to put it in this form, X bar is equal to AX plus BU. So dIL by dt is equal to minus IL by IL into R by L minus 1 by L into Vc plus 1 by L into Vn. We just modified it. Okay, applied a KVL on the input side and just modified the equation. So here from this particular circuit we can say that V0 is equal to Vc. Okay, this is our second equation. V0 is equal to Vc. As we know that output is V0 and input is V. So this will be our output equation. V0 is equal to Vc. The second equation will be our output equation. So now we have finded out the equation for inductor current, right? We need to find out also for the capacitor voltage. So as we know that IL is equal to, because whatever the current flowing through the inductor will be the same as the current flowing through the capacitor. So IL will be equal to C into dVc by dt. Okay, so if you just arrange it, dVc by dt will be equal to IL by C. So this will be our third equation. Okay, so we got three equations. So 1 and 3 are the input equation and 2 is the output equation. Okay, so if you see, if we just represent it, so IL bar and VC bar is equal to minus R by L. So this is R by L into IL. So this is IL minus R by L into IL minus 1 by L into VC. So this will be minus 1 by L into VC, right? Minus 1 by L into VC and 1 by L into V. Okay, so this is the input. Okay, so 1 by L into V. If we consider the second equation, so that capacitor voltage, so that will be IL by C. So 1 by C into IL. Okay, 1 by C into IL. And there is no other term, so we can put 0 here. Similarly, at input side, we can put a 0. Okay, so we got this particular state space equation. Now what is the equation for the output? V0 is equal to Vc. There is no IL. Okay, so 1 into Vc and IL is not there, so 0. 1 into Vc, 0 into IL plus there is no input also. Only Vc term is there in output equation. So 0 into V, right? So this will be the state space representation or state model for this particular RLC circuit. Okay, So if I just mention the matrices here, so this will be the A matrix, right? System matrix. This will be the input matrix. This will be the output matrix. And this will be the direct transmission matrix. Okay. So like this way, you can apply KVL to electrical circuit, and you can just represent. First thing is that you need to identify the state variables. Okay, that is the first thing. And second thing is that apply KVL and arrange in the form of these particular equations. Okay. So when you get a practice, it will get easy. Okay. Any doubt here? Any doubt here? Okay. So let us see example 2 here. So get more idea about this. So in this particular RLC circuit, there are 3 energy storing elements. These 2 inductors and this particular capacitor, right? So how many state variables are there? Hello. How many state variables are there? At least anyone should reply. At least one fellow should reply. How many state variables are there? No one is responding. There are 3 energy storing elements. Okay, so there will be 3 state variables. The first one will be the current flowing through the inductor, so that is I1. Second one will be current flowing through this inductor, that will be I2, and the voltage across this capacitor, that will be Vc. If we talk about the derivative of them, that will be di1 by dt, di2 by dt, and dvc by dt. So here input is voltage, but output is current. What is the output I see? So current is flowing in this direction. This capacitor current is the output. Okay, input is V, capacitor current is the output. So apply KVL in a first loop. So that will be V into I1 plus di1 by dt plus Vc. Okay, so if we just arrange it, so that will be the first equation, di1 by dt is equal to V minus I1 into Vc. Okay, this will be my first input equation. Apply KVL in the second loop. So Vc will be equal to di2 by dt plus I2. Okay, this will be the Vc. If we just arrange it, di2 by dt, so Vc minus I2 will be 2. Sorry, Vc minus I2 will be the second equation. Okay, so these two, 1 and 2 are the input equations. Okay, so that is the difference. That is the difference between. So the current will be C into dVc by dt. Now C is a 1 here, right? So I1 minus I2 will be dVc by dt. I1 minus I2 will be dVc by dt. Okay. So this will be the third equation, output equation. So how you will form the state space model? So in the state vector, so what are the variables in the state vector? I1, I2 and Vc. Okay, so if we consider first equation, I1 bar, so I1 bar is equal to V, so 1 for V, minus I1 means minus 1 into I1, minus Vc, minus 1 into Vc, and there is no I2 term in this equation. Okay, so that will be 0. If we talk about the second equation, so there is a Vc and I2 term only. So 1 into Vc minus 1 into I2 minus 1 into I2. I1 is 0, input is also 0. Let us see the third equation. Just a minute, I mistakenly told you. This third equation is also input equation. Okay, output equation we haven't found. So output is IC na here. Output is IC, not I1 or I2. Okay. So output is IC. This third equation is also input. So that will be I1 minus I2 is equal to dVC by dt. So we, in terms of VC also we need to find out na third variable. Three variables are there, right? Okay. So third equation will be I1 minus I2. So there is a 1 into I1 minus 1 into I2. So 1 into I1 minus 1 into I2. Okay. And there is no VC term in this equation. So that will be 0 into VC. And input is also 0. So like this way, these three terms are there. First, identify the state variables that are I1, I2 and VC. Okay. So, and then form the state space representation. Now, output equation is remain. Input equation we just have formed. So, what is the output here? IC is equal to I2 minus I1. So, IC is equal to I2 minus I1. So, I2 minus I1. Okay. So, if we represent it, so that will be what? Minus 1 into I1, minus 1 into I1, 1 into I2, and there is no VC term, so 0 into VC. Similarly, there is no input term in IC equation, so 0 into V. Okay, so if you see this, so this is the matrix A, this is the matrix B, C, and D. Okay, so this is the physical variable form of the state space representation. Okay, so any doubt here? If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, so let us move to the next point. The next point is how to find out a state model from differential equation. Okay, so if differential equation is given, how you will find out the state model? So here differential equation is given. Okay, so I have used a Laplace transform and converted this particular differential equation into Laplace domain. So this will be the Laplace domain equation. So this will be the transfer function, right? So sometimes they may ask you that find out states. Sometimes they may ask you that find out. Sorry, just a minute. So they may ask you that find out state space model from block diagram or state space model from SFG, a state space model from differential equation. Okay, I will tell you the shortcut to find out a state space model from the differential equation. First, you see this conventional approach, then we will see the shortcut. Okay. So now you have formed this transfer function. Okay. So from this particular transfer function, you just need to find out the block diagram. Okay. And there are different forms to different representation of the systems for different forms. Okay. So time being, you just consider how to find out a controllable canonical form block diagram using this particular transfer function. Okay. So what is the order of the system here? Order of the system is a 3, right? Okay. So I will use 3 integrators. Okay. I will use a 3 integrators. So as you know that integration in time domain is multiplication by 1 by s factor in the Laplace domain, right? So integration in time domain. Multiplication by 1 by s factor in Laplace domain. So order of the system is 3. So I have taken order of the system is 3. So I have taken 3 integrators, first, second, and third. Okay. So first take 3 integrators. Now, how many state variables are there? Order of the system is 3, means there are 3 state variables. Okay. Order of the system is equal to the number of state variables. Now, here you can see. First, at the output side, I have taken a state variable x1. Okay, here I have taken x2, and here I have taken x3, like that way. So x1, x2, x3. Now x2 is equal to x1 bar because that is the input to this particular integrator. And what is the output of that integrator? X1. So this will be x1. So here x2 is equal to x1 bar. Similarly here x3 is equal to x2 bar, right? And this particular input for this particular integrator will be x3 bar because the output of that particular integrator is x3. So this will be x3 bar, right? Now, so we just form these particular blocks and their inputs and outputs. Now we need to see we need to find out the input matrix and all those things. So first we will start with the A matrix. So this particular characteristic equation gives the A matrix. So what here you can see this is a S square term. Okay, so from this you will start like here. So from reverse direction we will take. After this there are two integrators. Okay, so from this 3s square term is there. So from this point I will take that particular third block which is having a gain 3 and will connect to this error detector. Okay, so that will be positive sign is there, so feedback will be negative, so here I will put negative. Similarly 6s is there, so only one integrator is remaining in this side. Okay, so I will take output from this particular takeoff point and will connect to the block which is having the gain 6, and I will again connect to the summing junction. So it will be the term is positive, so that will be also a negative feedback. So here negative we have put. Similarly here 7 for no no integration means no S term is there, so I will directly connect on the right hand side of this particular x1 is there are no integrators. Okay, so I will take input from this takeoff point and I will connect to the block which is having the gain 7, and again I will connect that to the summing junction. So here what is the negative sign is there. Why? Because this is a positive term, we need to introduce a negative feedback. So like this way you can draw this diagram. Okay, now here in the numerator side, the numerator here in controllable canonical form. Okay, numerator will give the input matrix, so 10 will be the input matrix. So gain this particular block is having the gain 10 and which is representing the input matrix. Okay, so 10 will be the input here. So like this way, from the transfer function, you can draw the block diagram. Okay, in a controllable canonical form. Okay, so this is a controllable canonical form. So like this way, after you find it out block diagram, you can just represent that in terms of equations. So here you can see, if you see this block diagram, y is equal to x1. So y is output. So y is equal to x1. So this will be our output equation, right? So y will be equal to x1. So this is our output equation. Right? Then we will calculate for stats. So x1 bar is equal to x2. So x1 bar is equal to x2. Then x2 bar is equal to x3. x2 bar is equal to x3. This is the second equation. Now let's see what is x3. How I have calculated this. Here just we have equalized this because these are the same modes. Okay, x1 bar is equal to x2. x3 bar is equal to x2. Sorry, x3 is equal to x2 bar. Okay, and what is the x3 bar here? What is the x3 bar here? So apply this. This is what the output of the summing junction, right? x3 bar is the output of the summing junction. So how we will represent x3? Let us see the incoming branches. Okay, so this is also one incoming branch. This is also one incoming branch. This is also one incoming branch. And from input side also input is given. Okay, so x3 bar will be equal to, what will be the x3 bar if you apply just a simple SFG concept here? What will be the x3 bar here? x3 bar will be minus 7x1, okay, minus 6x2 and minus 3x3 plus 10u, okay. So like this way you can just see that. So minus 7x1 minus 6x2 minus 3x3 plus 10u. So this is the third equation, okay, which is representing the x3, right? So this is the third equation. Now we got all the equations. So 1, 2 and 3 are the input equations. So 1, 2 and 3 are the input equations, and this will be the y is equal to x1 is the output equation, okay. Don't worry about this because we will see the shortcut technique also. So no need to draw this diagram on all those things, okay. But in case of subjective only, I am telling this point, okay. So here you can see one note I have mentioned here, number of state variable is equal to the order of the equation, okay. So as we know that thing. So let us see, by using these three equations, we need to form an input equation model and the output equation model. So let us consider first x1. x1 bar is equal to x2 only. So there is only x2 term here. x1 and x3 are not there. So 1 into x2. x1 and x3 terms are 0. Okay. Let us see for x2 bar. x2 bar is equal to x3. So there is only x3 term. So 1 into x3, 0, 0 for x1 and x2. Similarly, inputs are 0 in these first two conditions. So in equation 1, input is 0, and in equation 2 also input is 0. Okay. Input terms are not there in these equations. So let us see the third equation. So minus 7 into x1, minus 7 into x1, minus 6 into x2, minus 6 into x2, minus 3 into x3, minus 3 into x3, plus 10u. So input is also there in this particular third equation. So 10 into u. So this will be 10 into u. So 0, 0, 10 will be this B matrix, and this particular matrix will be the A matrix. And what is the output equation? Y is equal to x1. So only x1 term is there. So 1, 0, 0 into x1, x2, x3, right? So like this way. And input is also 0. So only x1 term is there. That's why 1 into x1. It's only 0. So like this way, here A is the input matrix, B is this, A is the system matrix, B is the input matrix, C is the output matrix, and this is the T. Okay. So like this way, you can represent the states. So in this particular approach, what we have done, in this particular approach, if the differential equation is given, we have converted that into LT. So we got a transfer function. From transfer function, we just drawn the diagram, okay, and from the diagram we just form the equation, okay, just form the equation, and from those equation I have formed the state model. So this is the state model. Now I will tell you the shortcut technique, okay, how to do it. Shortcut technique for controllable canonical form. Mute your mic. Okay. So here you can see. Now this differential equation is given. Y raised to n means that will be nth order derivative. Okay. So here you can see y raised to 4 plus 6 into y cube minus 5 into y square plus 10y is equal to 2 into u of t. Now here this is the differential equation is given, and we need to draw this state, we need to form this state model from that particular differential equation. And if they ask you that form this in controllable canonical form, if they ask you that, okay, in CCF form, controllable canonical form, okay. So what you need to do, okay, so first you need to identify the number of state variables, okay. So as you know, the number of state variable is equal to the order of the equation. What is the order of the equation? 4. So there will be 4 variables, x1 bar, x2 bar, x3 bar and x4 bar, okay. Now there are 4 variables. So you can start 0 1 0 0, okay. The first row will be this, then second row will be 0 0 1 0. So one you need to shift, okay. If there are 4 variables, you just start with 0 1 0 0. Second row will be 0 0 1 0. Third row will be 0 0 0 1, okay. You just need to shift 1 at each row, okay. So this pattern is fixed for a fourth order. For third order, it will be what? It will be only this. It will be only this 9 elements, right? For three, no, that will be different. Okay, so I will tell you about that also. So this is a pattern for fourth order: 0 1 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 0 1. Okay, you form 3 rows. The final row is remaining. Now to take a final row, what we will do? Just start from this point and just traverse like this, okay. So traverse like this, and now while traversing, take the opposite signs, okay. So here plus 10 is 10, plus 10 is there, na? Take minus 10. Here minus 5 is there, na? Take plus 5. Here plus 6 is there, na? Take minus 6, like that way, okay. Now here, if you see this equation, here y1 term is missing. Okay, y raised to 1 term is missing. Y raised to 1 term is missing. So for this particular term, what you will do? You will take 0, right? Okay. So I will just traverse like this and will form the last row using this particular traversing. So plus 10 is there, minus 10. Y1 term is missing. I have taken 0. Minus 5 is there for y square term. So that will be 5. Plus 6 is there, so that will be minus 6. So we got a matrix, okay. So these 3 rows patterns are fixed. Only this last row is decided by this particular method. You need to traverse like this and take opposite sign. Minus 10, and y1 term is missing, so 0. So minus 5 is there, so take a plus 5. If plus 6 is there, take a minus 6, like this way, okay. So we got with this. Now, what will be the input matrix? 2 into u of t. Okay, only 2 is there. So 0, 0, 0, 2. So lastly, you need to put 2. Okay. So we got an input equation. Now, how to find out the output equation? So now, even if you take, even if you consider this particular technique, okay, you can, in the previous example, Control C, if I say here. Okay, now this output equation you have seen, okay. You can determine this output equation directly by differential equations also. No need to diagram, no need to draw this diagram, okay. So here, first variable we take as an output, okay. This x1 variable we take as an output, okay. So y will be equal to x1. Then if we just consider dy by dt is equal to what we can consider dy by okay, leave it that thing. So here you just see that if you want to represent this particular system in controllable canonical form, this CCF form in a state model, so take first state variable assigned to the output, means this matrix will be fixed, okay, 1 0 0 0, okay, and input is 0. So like this way the patterns are fixed if you want to apply a shortcut technique. So whatever the given here at input side, you can just choose it for an input matrix, that is for matrix P. In A matrix, these first 3 rows are fixed. Only the last row is decided by this particular traversing in opposite direction by taking an opposite signs. So like final row is decided by this. and the output will be like y is equal to x1. Okay, so here only x1 term they will take. So 1 0 0. So this particular technique you can apply. So this will be C and this will be D. Okay, if they give equation like this, so in that condition. Okay, so let us see for second example, so you will get more clear idea about this, how to do it. Okay, so this is the third equation, and you need to find out a state model here. You need to find out a state model here. So first order of equation is 4, so there are 4 state variable. Now in control level canonical form we need to form this, right? So first 3 rows are having the fixed pattern 0 1 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 0 1. Okay, and then shortcut technique you apply to find out the fourth row. How you will find out the fourth row? Traverse like this. Take a opposite signs. Okay, so now here which term is missing in this example 3? Y raised to 2 term is missing, right? Y raised to 2 term is missing here. So the first point will be -10, the second will be 7, then y raised to 2 term is missing, so that will be 0, and this third term is -3 because that is a +3. So -10, 7, 0, -3, and 4 into u of t. Na? So what will be the input matrix? 0 0 0 4. This will be the input matrix. Okay, so A B we have found that, and as we know the C is having the fixed pattern 1 0 0 0. Y is equal to x1. Okay, and there is no input. So like this way you can apply a shortcut technique to find out the state model. Okay, have you understood? Any doubt here? Any doubt here? Okay, okay, now the next thing is that if they give you the SFG and you need to find out a state model, how you will find out? Okay, so state model you need to find out from the SFG. Now this is the SFG key. First identify the integrators present in the SFG. Okay, so here there are two 1 by s terms, this and this. Okay, so here you can see integrator branch is like this, which is having 1 by s gain. So x1, if x1 is the output, x1 bar will be the input. So if there are two integrators, so there are two 1 by s terms in SFG. So if there are two integrators, there will be two state variables, right? Okay. So from SFG, if I consider this now, you here in this particular example, I have considered that this point as a x2. Okay, you can consider this point as a x1. No issue. The state space model only will get changed. Okay, so no issue of getting taking this point as x1 or this point as x2. You just need to put that correctly. Okay, so I have taken this point as x2. What is the previous? What is the input of this integrator then? X2 bar. Okay, so if I say that x2 bar is equal to x1, x2 bar is equal to x1. If I say x2 bar is equal to x1, right? So what will be the input of this integrator? That will be x1 bar, right? Because output is x1, so that is equal to x2 bar. So input of this particular integrator will be x1 bar. Okay, so what first thing you need to do here, you just need to identify how many state variables are there. After identifying that, the second step is that you just check the input and output. You just assign those state variables to the input and output of the integrators. Okay, so here I have applied x2, here I have applied x1, so like that. Now from this particular SFG, so what will be the x2 bar? X2 bar, what will be the x2 bar? You just need to consider the incoming branches. Okay, so x2 bar will be what here? What is the incoming branch to this particular x2 bar? This one only. So x1 bar applied to the integrator and then it got at x2 bar. So that will be x1. Okay. So x2 bar is equal to x1. What is the x1 bar? Check the incoming branches. Check incoming branches. 1 into u1 minus 21 by 4 into x1 minus 5 into x2 minus 5 into x2. Incoming branches only you need to check, right? So we got an equation for x2 bar and x1 bar. Okay, and so there are two state variables. So we got two equations. So we got two input equation. Now we need to find out the output equation. How we will find out the output equation? Now look at the output node. So how many input branches are there? This is one input branch and this is the second one, right? So that will be 4 into x1, right? Plus 5 into x2, right? 4x1 plus 5x2. Y is equal to 4x1 plus 5x2. So we got three equations, right? We got three equations. So start with the x1 bar. So minus 21 by 4 into x1. Minus 21 by 4 into x1. Minus 5 into x2. Minus 5 into x2. Okay, right? And what is the input? One input term is also there. 1 into u. So 1 into u. And the x2 bar. Okay, so only one term is there, x1. 1 into x1. 1 into x1. 0 term, the other terms are not there, right? Input is also not there and x2 is also not there. 0 into x2 and input is also 0. Okay. And what is the output equation? Y is equal to 4x1 plus 5x2. So here both the variables are there, state variables are there, x1, x2. So 4 into x1, 5 into x2. Okay, input term is not there, so 0 into u. So here this is the A matrix. This is the A matrix. This is the B matrix. This is C and this is D. Okay. So like this way, these matrices are there. Okay. So from SFG, you can find out the state model like this. Okay. Any doubt here? Any doubt? Have you understood this concept? Have you understood? I'm not getting any response. Any doubt here?
No, sir.
Okay, let us see the canonical form, different canonical forms. So we just have seen that particular thing, no? So different canonical forms like controllable canonical form, observable canonical form, and diagonal canonical form. Okay, so let us see these examples. Oh, sorry, methods of representation. Okay, so first I will tell you how to determine those forms using a transfer function. Okay, shortcut technique only. So here you can see the first transfer function. Now I will show you the controllable canonical form. Okay, so this is the transfer function. Okay, so now one thing I need to mention here, in the previous SFG, here what point I have noted here, transfer function of the system is unique, but state model is not unique. Why I am saying like that? So if you see here, in this particular SFG, I can take this point as a x1 and this point as a x2. Okay, I can take. If I take like that, what will happen? My equations will get changed. Input and output means my input equation will get changed, right? So if my input equation will get changed, this A matrix will get changed. Similarly, the B matrix will get changed. This upper terms, this particular first row will become the second row, and second row will become the first row. Okay, similarly here. Okay, so depending on so what is the point here? The state space model is not unique. Okay, depending on the forms, the state space model can be different, but transfer function of the system is unique. So as we know that number of state is equal to the order of the system. So what is the order of the system? Order of the system is decided by the denominator. So what is the order? 4. Okay. So there are 4 variables: x1 bar, x2 bar, x3 bar, and x4. So controllable canonical form you previously seen, right? The first 3 rows are fixed: 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. Okay. And the last row will be, we need to traverse like this will be the denominator. Okay, so denominator will decide the A matrix last row, the one thing that is important. Traverse like this and take a sign in opposite directions. Okay, so first term will be minus A0, second will be minus A1, third will be minus A2, and fourth will be minus A3. So minus A0, minus A1, minus A2, minus A3. So traverse like this. Okay, opposite sign I can say here, opposite. Okay, it will decide the last row. So here you can see minus A0, minus A1, minus A2, minus A3. Done. Okay. Now here you can see out of this particular in numerator so out. Okay, so 0 0 0 B U. Okay, so this term will decide the input. Okay, and this term will decide output. But how to take output? Okay, so traverse like this for this term, traverse like this and take the same sign. Which will decide output vector. Okay, now here you can see the output vector will be C0, C1, C2, and C3. So C0, C1, C2, and C3 will be the output vector. Okay, and there is a no D matrix. So like this way, you can just calculate it. So this will be A, this will be B matrix, this will be C, and D is 0, right? There is no D. So like this, if they give you transfer function like this and they just ask you in a competitive exam, they ask question like this. Okay, this is find out the model from this particular transfer function state space model. Okay, so So you can apply this shortcut technique. Otherwise, otherwise there is a long method to find out the model. Okay. So thing is fixed. Denominator will show the denominator will decide the last row of the A matrix. This particular term will decide the last row of the input matrix, and this particular term will decide the output vector. Okay. So same thing. So what is this form? This particular form of state space representation is called as a controllable canonical form. Okay. So what is meant by controllable and what is meant by observable? When we see observable, we will explain both the things, concepts. Okay. But time being, you just see what is meant by observable and controllable. Sorry, what is form of those things. Okay. So now here also the transfer function is same transfer function is given like previous one, but we need to represent this transfer function using an observable canonical form. Okay. So if you know the controllable canonical form, you can easily find out the observable canonical form. Okay. So in observable canonical form, here A matrix, this matrix. This A matrix, okay, this is the A, this is B, and this is the C. Okay. So in observable canonical form, this A matrix is a transpose of a matrix of a controllable canonical form. So transpose of this matrix. So here you can see this particular matrix is a transpose of this particular control. This is a matrix of controllable canonical form, and this is a matrix of observable canonical. So A matrix of observable canonical form is a transpose of controllable canonical form. Similarly, the B matrix of observable canonical form is a transpose of C matrix of controllable canonical form. And the C matrix of the observable canonical form is a transpose of B matrix of a controllable canonical form. Okay. So like this way, if you know the controllable canonical form, you can form the observable canonical form. Okay. So what is meant by controllable and what is meant by observable? So if you see, if I take this particular digital circuit, okay, these are the inputs, these are the outputs. So these are the inputs and these are the outputs. Now I can apply any input on this input terminals like 1, 0, 1. Okay. So what is the meaning of this? I am controlling these inputs. Okay. So these inputs are controllable. Okay. This is called as a controllable inputs. Okay. And here I observe the outputs, whether I am getting 0, 1, 0, 1. Okay. So these outputs are observable. Okay. Now the inside states, you can't observe them, right? For example, if there is a large chip, okay, any chip you take, IC741, there are inputs, there is a supply, there are outputs. Okay. You can apply input, you can check the output, control the input, observe the output. But what happens if any fault occur inside this particular IC, inside any element in this particular IC, okay, in internal states, okay, how you will observe that thing? Okay, there are methods to observe that thing. Okay, so for example, in this particular IC741, if inside state is a controllable or observable, okay, so if you know any internal state, as in a state space, what we do, we represent the state space, internal states, right? we represent the internal state and we just observe it, right? We just analyze it. Sorry, we just analyze it. Okay. Now there is a concept called controllability and observability related to that. So that is not a part of our syllabus, but just I need to tell you what is meant by observable and what is meant by controllable. Okay, that thing is there for this purpose. That is not a part of our syllabus. You just consider this basic concept, what is meant by controllable and what is meant by observable. Okay. So the thing is simple. If controllable canonical form is there, you can just form the observable canonical form. Okay, by applying these particular things. A is a transpose of controllable canonical form like that. Okay, so we have seen two forms, the controllable canonical form and observable canonical form. Let us see the third form. Okay, so now if transfer function is given like this, so what you will do, there are three poles, P1, P2, P3. There are two zeros, Z1 and Z2. Okay, so apply partial fraction on this. Okay, so you will get three terms, B1, B2 and B3 for poles P1, P2 and P3. Okay, so you get this. Now if you want to represent this using a block diagram, okay, if you want to represent this using a block diagram, so here if you see, this is the x1 term, this is the x2 term and this is the x3 term. Okay, so in a diagonal canonical form, if transfer function is given, you need to apply a partial fraction to it, so that you can modify the transfer function like this. And if you want to represent that using a block diagram, so that will be, this will be the block diagram representation for that particular block. So if you see here, so this particular block is this particular block is representing 1 upon S plus P1. Okay, so this particular block, if you see, this is representing 1 upon S plus P1. Similarly, okay, similarly this block, if you see the second, this particular block, that will be 1 upon S plus P2. You know that how to, this is simple closed loop system, right? So this will represent 1 upon S plus P2, this will 1 upon S plus P3. Now their numerators B1, B2, B3, you can just take simple blocks like a B1 gain block, P2 gain block and B3 gain block. Okay, and apply the input to all the systems. Okay, applied. Now add it using a summing junction. Add their outputs. So this will be output. Okay, so this is a simple form of representation in a diagonal canonical form. Now how to represent a state space model for it? Okay, so let us see. What happened? Yes. Here you can see. Now these three terms are there, right? We need to form the state space model. Now this P1, P2 and P3 are different. Okay, this P1, P2 and P3 are different roots. So you can just represent those elements diagonally. Okay, so this will be a diagonal matrix. Okay, other elements will be 0. So here this diagonal element will be minus P1, this will be minus P2 and this will be minus P3. So this will be our A matrix, simply decided by the poles of the system. Okay, minus P1, minus P2, minus P3. Now, what is the input matrix? So that will be K1, K2, K3. What is the K1, K2, K3? You will see that. And the output matrix M1, M2, M3. Okay. So what is that? So let us see. K1 into M1. K1 into M1 is equal to B1. You know the value of B1. Okay. So K1 into M1 should be B1. You can select any value of K1 and M1, but product should be B1. Similarly, K2 into M2 is equal to B2. Okay. So K2 into M2 is equal to B2. You know the value of B2. So you can determine K2 and M2. And similarly, B3 will be K3 into M3. Now, here poles are distinct, okay? Distinct and real, okay? Here poles are distinct. If poles are repeated, if any pole is get repeated, how to represent this, okay? So this is the extra point only. They generally ask for diagonal canonical only, but in any competitive exam, they can ask about Jordan canonical form also. So I will just give you the idea about it. So if any pole is repeated, so here you can see there are two poles repeated, okay, minus P1, minus P1, minus P2. So how to represent the A matrix? Because those poles are deciding the A matrix. So here also you can see poles are deciding the A matrix. So if you see here, what I have done, when poles are repeated, this P1 pole is repeated. So you just need to represent like this, minus P1 into 1, 0 into minus P1. So this block, other element will be 0 for this row. Okay. And for P2, nothing will be there. So P2 will be the last element. Okay. So other elements are 0. So like this way, this particular block, which I have represented using green color, this is Jordan block. Similarly, this is a Jordan block. So there are two Jordan blocks. And this particular representation is called as a Jordan canonical form. Okay. It is just a subform of diagonal canonical form. So this is a Jordan canonical form. Now, let us see the case 2. Okay. If there is a P2 and P2, if there if P2 is repeated, okay. So if you see here, so for P2, I have created same Jordan block like this, minus P2 into 1, 0 into P2. All the elements are 0. And the first element is minus P1. So that is in the first position in the here, minus P1. All the elements are 0. Okay, like this is the second case. Now, if there are this is a third order system and all the poles are repeated, in that case, what you will do? So minus P1 into 1, minus P1 into 1, 0 into minus P1. Okay. So just you need to put 1 in the next element, means in that particular row. Next element you should put 1, minus P1 into 1, minus P1 into 1. So last element is minus P1. So there are 3 poles repeated. One pole is repeated 3 times. Okay. So minus P1, minus P1, minus P1, 1, 1. So like this way, third case is there. Generally, they ask you about a diagonal canonical only. But all these are competitive exam level questions. You just see it. Okay. Now, here you can see the example. So state matrix of the system with the transfer function this. So transfer function is given. Now what is mean by state matrix? As we know, the A matrix is a state matrix. So they are asking about A matrix. Okay. So let us see 4 options. Okay, so let us see 4 options, right? Now, if you see these 4 options, you can observe that this is controllable canonical form, because first 2 row you can see 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. These rows are fixed. For third order system, you can represent like this. Now the last row, now here, what is the point? What is the correct last row? So what method we have applied? We start from this point and we take opposite signs. So minus 4, minus 5, minus 6. So out of these 4 options, C option you can see -4, -5, -6. So this is the correct option. Okay. So within less time you can solve it. And A matrix is decided by denominator only. We have seen that. Okay. So like this way, they may ask you a question about like this. Okay. Now the next point is, if you want to determine the transfer function from state model, how you will determine? Okay. Now the reverse approach. How will you determine the transfer function from state model? So let us see. So this is the input equation. Okay. X bar is equal to ax plus bu. Convert into Laplace transform. Okay. So this x bar is a derivative of state vector. No? So s into x of s. Now this will be s into x of s minus x of 0. But we are not considering 0 because we need to find out a transfer function. For transfer function, we consider initial conditions 0. That's why I have not written here minus x of 0, right? So x bar Laplace transform will be s into x of s. And this will be a into x of s plus b into u of s. So if I just simplify it, that will be s into I. I is the identity matrix. Now here you can see these are the matrices A and B. Okay, that's why when you take a subtraction here you can, if you adjust this term, so this will become si into si minus a into x of s. So I is identity matrix here. The size of it will be depend on the size of A. Okay, size of a matrix A. X of s is equal to b into u of s. So x of s will be si minus a inverse into b into u of s. Okay, so this will be x of s. This is my state. This is my state in Laplace domain. Okay. Now, what is the output equation? If you take if you convert output equation in a Laplace domain, so that will be c into x of s plus d into u of s, right? So this will be the output equation in the Laplace domain. But we have just found out x of s. So what is x of s? This particular thing. Si minus a inverse into b into u of s. So we just put it that. And if you just modified it, so this formula is important. So from this you can directly find out the transfer function. C into S of Si minus A inverse into B plus T. So like this way, by using this formula, you can directly find out the transfer function. So let us consider one problem so you will understand how to find out the transfer function from the state model. Okay. So let us consider this transfer function here. No, sorry, let us consider this state model here. We need to find out the transfer function. So A matrix is this. This is the B matrix. And this is the C matrix. See the what is the transfer function? This formula. Just need to apply this formula here. So this is the transfer function, right? Okay, so as we know, the C matrix we know from the problem only. So here you can see. So it's giving a problem. Just a minute. So this is the A matrix, right? This is A, this is a B. So we know A matrix, we know B matrix, and we also know C matrix. So this one. Now, first find out this particular term. Si minus A. Si minus A. So this term is just like I have directly written here Si minus A. Okay, so this is like what is A minus 1 0 0 minus 2. Okay, so if I perform this operation, my Si minus A matrix will be S plus 1 0 0 S plus 2, right? So this will be Si minus A. So that thing only I have directly put it here. So Si minus A matrix will be S plus 1 into S plus 1 0 0 S plus 2. Okay. Now how to find out the inverse of it? You just replace this. You just replace the position of this diagonal element. You just change the position of this diagonal element. So S plus 2 S plus 1 and change the sign of these two elements, right? Divided by the denominator of this matrix. Sorry, determinant of this matrix. Okay, and divided by the determinant of this matrix, right? You know this technique, how to find out a inverse of a matrix, right? So just I have found it out inverse like that way. So I got 1 upon S plus 1 and 1 upon S plus 2 terms, right, in a diagonal positions. Okay, so this will be my Si minus A inverse matrix. Now to find out the transfer function, just put C matrix, this Si minus A inverse matrix, P matrix, D is not there, D is 0, right? They haven't given D. So directly put it here. So this will be my C matrix, 1 into 1. This is my Si minus A inverse matrix. And this will be B. D is not there, D is 0. So if you solve this, if you do this matrix multiplication, what transfer function you will get? 1 upon S plus 1. Okay.